Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. How are you dear students? Welcome to English Grade 7 video lecture series. Today we are going to start our unit number 8 and the title is Choice of a Profession. Now this is very important. It is such an informational text. The theme that is focused on over here is education and employment. The sub-theme is awareness of emerging professions. And in this lesson, in the text, you are given so much information and awareness about all the professions that you can choose, and then you can have a very good employment in that. All right. Now, it is very much important that we read each and every lesson, the text word by word, and get the main idea and all the gist. This is an introductory lecture, dear students, and we are going to talk about all the different SLOs that we will cover in the upcoming lecture series. I will introduce the students' learning outcome to you so that you can come prepared before attending the lecture and recall your knowledge and prior knowledge as well. So let's look at a theme overview of the main lesson. This will tell you that what the lesson is about and what are the key things and features that you will be focusing on in the text of the lesson. The lesson focuses on guiding students in making informed career decisions by considering personal interests, strengths, and societal impact. It explores the importance of choosing a profession that aligns with one's passions while also benefiting the community, highlighting the changing nature of career opportunities and the need for thoughtful decision making. Now, as students, you need to know that what are your interests, which field of profession you are going to be a part of, and then be employed in that to earn a very good living and do so many good things for the community as well. Now, students, in this lesson, you can have a very good guideline about choosing the right profession based on your personal interest, your strengths as a student, as an individual, and also the societal impact. Now, if you have read the lesson, you can get a very good hint about it and you can make up your mind. The earlier, the better. Now, let's talk about the different learning outcomes. First, we will have our lecture number 1, where we will use prepositions of position, time, movement, and direction, including since and for. Preposition is a part of speech, but there are different variations for which we use them. We use them for showing position, showing time, movement, and also directions. So there are a lot of prepositional words for these different purposes, and we will also see that how we can use the since and for correctly in our speech and writing. Next one, we will have lecture 2, where we'll talk about again prepositions, but here we'll talk about compound prepositions. 2 or more than 2 prepositional words, how do they function together, and also we will see that what are prepositional phrases. Phrases that include prepositions. How can you identify them and how you can use them in your everyday life and also in your writing. So first we'll talk about prepositions. We will recall the basic common prepositional words with examples, and then we will see that what are compound prepositions, which prepositions are always working together, either they are 2 or more than 2, and we will see that how we can recognize prepositional phrases. Next one, we will recall the use of coordinating and subordinating conjunctions. We have already done this so many times. Conjunction is also a part of speech, and we will see that there are 3 basic types: subordinating conjunction, coordinating conjunctions, and correlative conjunctions. We will recall, as we have already read, coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions, how they are different, and we will also see a list of both these with examples and activities as well. Now, lecture 4A is about differentiating between homophones and near homophones. For example, these two words, advise and advise, correctly use frequently confused words. For example, to, and to, there, and they are. So these are the words that are sounding the same. They are homophones. We are going to see that how we can choose the right word for the right context and situation, and do not mix these kinds of words that are sounding and spelling alike, but they are having different functions. So this is very much important to understand about homophones. In the next lecture, we'll talk about identifying and using the homographs, words spelled the same with different pronunciation. For example, now these are the words that are spelled the same, but they are pronounced differently. For example, wind or wind, record or record, excuse, row, bass, close, present, and all these words, we will talk about them and identify the homographs. We are doing this to gain our good vocabulary and use it correctly when it is needed, so we can avoid the ambiguities and problems and also mistakes in our understanding of using these words. Lecture number 5A, we'll talk about ask and answer simple and higher order questions to guide or assess reading. For example, why is the author saying this right now? Why did the author choose this word? And how is this different from what I read somewhere else? Now, students, there are lower order thinking questions and there are higher order thinking questions. We'll talk about them, how do they look, and how we can answer them accordingly. And we'll talk about all these important questions that require a critical answer that you find after every comprehension passage when you are responding to the text. So these are very much important. Then the second SLO that we have merged in this lecture is read and view a variety of reading age appropriate and high interest books and texts from print and non-print sources. Here, this is the generic learning outcome, and we are going to focus on interpersonal texts like letters, notices, emails, and notes. All of these texts are interpersonal. We'll see that how we can write each one of them with the correct format, and we will also look for some examples. Next one, for lecture 5B, we are going to talk about skimming. Skim the text to have a general idea about the writer's purpose, intended audience, and infer the main idea of the text. Students, when we are talking about reading comprehension, understanding when we are reading something, we have different reading strategies and techniques. And one of them is the technique of skimming a text to get the main idea of the text quickly without reading the whole text. We can just read some things and skim through it to get the main idea. We'll talk about the techniques, and we will also see that how we can do proper skimming through different texts. Lecture number 6A, this is about your oral communication, where you have to practice speaking fluently and explore complex ideas and feelings, both in depth and at length, to provide suggestions, conduct a discussion, draw together ideas, and promote effective sharing of ideas. So we speak for different purposes. Now we have to practice our speaking to gain fluency and explore different complex ideas, and we can also talk about feelings and emotions, both getting into the depth and also at the surface level, and we can give suggestions and all these things. We can perform all these things by elevating our speaking abilities. So we'll come up with some drills and practice and activities for you to perform to enhance your speaking, and then all you have to do is practice. So when you come for this lecture, be very much prepared and do not be hesitant to participate in the class as a good speaker. All right, lecture 6B is about writing, where you will write short, informal letters to people in an extended social and academic environment for various purposes. And for doing so, we will use correct conventions, appropriate vocabulary, tone and style, revise for correct format and layout. We'll talk about the format of structuring a very good informal letter, and also we'll talk about the layout, the tone, the style and the language, the diction that we are going to use in writing a very good informal letter. Dear students, these are all the lectures that we have for this chapter. I hope that you're looking forward for all these different learning outcomes to learn more and polish your and revise your understanding and knowledge, because some of the things have already been covered in previous units. So now we are going to learn something new and practice a lot. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the first lecture. Allah Hafiz.